Hello, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. This is Dylan here, and I will be taking you through the introduction to Pixellab because this is going to be the app where you're going to use to create most of your designs. And so, for the start, I want to tell you that you're welcome to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you can always receive a notification each time I post a new video. So, let's start. Let me bring up my mouse button here, and so we can use to get more out of this. So this is the mouse button, and we are going to start. Oh, sorry for that. We're going to start immediately with this icon. This icon is the pencil tool which brings up the text. So if you click on this, you're going to bring up the text to write, while this other icon is the delete button. And if you click on this, you're going to delete anything you want the text on the text. And this icon is the back button. Once you do anything, you can bring it up and you can come back to what you've done. Maybe you deleted something by accident. This is the button to click to come back. This button is the zoom button. If you click on this button, you're going to zoom in, and if you put your two fingers on the canvas, the canvas is this part which has this color right here. This is where you do every single work you do as a designer right on this canvas. We are going to learn how to use it. Now that we have activated the zoom button, it's time to put your two fingers on the screen and just move away from each other, and you can see it increases that. And if you now deactivate the zoom button, if we deactivate the zoom button, it's going to stay at that particular width or maybe height or scale as you've left it, until you can go back and actually click on the zoom again and then reduce it to the size you want, and then finally you now deactivate it to come back to normal way it was. Then the next button here are grid lines. Now these grid lines help us. Now if you look at, let's first of all deactivate this. If you look at here on the text that we have, you can actually touch and move it. This one is to increase the length, or you can reduce or increase whatever to make the length take a shape of 2 or 1. Why this other button here is scale, the scale button. The scale button always just make it large or big, or reduce it something without changing the shape, which is nice. These buttons at the corner always change the shape of something. And now this semicircle button, it's always for rotation. Yes, for rotation. Okay, let me say I've rotated this text, and for me it looks like it is straight, but if I bring up these grid lines and I want to compare it with these straight lines here, you're going to see that this is not straight at all. So now I can rotate it very well, and now I can see that the match. And this grid line help us to orientate whether something is well orientated, well straight, or maybe bent. So grid lines are very important, and you can make more of them. I'll teach you how to make more of these grid lines in the next videos. But next we go to the layer tab. Now for us to bring more of the layer tab, I want to do something. I'm going to click on this next icon which says plus, and I'm going to click on here and add some text and bring it here. And so when I come to this layer tab now and I'm going to click on it, you're going to see that I have two text buttons which shows which part is which. So I have two text on the screen. So the layers tab shows everything you have on your screen. If you added an image, you're going to have a tab for an image. And so if you click on this part which has this I think there are 8 dots, and if you click and just hold it and drag it, it's going to come down while this one goes up. And this is the way we move things. So go ahead and try that if you have Pixellab. And now this button, the next button, let's deactivate this plus button is used to add things like text, to add current date. So if you don't want to use this button to add text, you can actually use the plus button to do it. You add text, current date, stickers, shapes. So maybe you're designing and I wanted to just add today's date on my design. I'll just click on current date right there, and you see my date pop up, and it is okay. And I can just add it to my design. I can change the color of the date, the shape, and everything. When I'll show you how to do that, but let it just stay here. And if I come and click on my layers tab, you can see that another layer is added for the date, and that is how things are. And so let's move on to the next, which is the save button. This button helps us to save. Now in Pixellab you can save in two ways. Either you save as image or project, but you can save both as image and project. When you're saving something as image, you're done with that thing and you want to have the image in your phone. When you save as project, it means you've just saved it, and you can actually make changes to it later, which is very, very important, by the way. And so you can always save both as image and project. So when I save as project, then I save as image. It's always important. Then this button, you should be familiar with it. It is a share button, and if you click on this button right now, it carries you like it wants to share to different things. Like I want to share, save to my gallery, which is up there green. If you click on the share button, you're going to have so many different things pop up. You can share on Facebook, Twitter, Google, WhatsApp, whatever. This thing is just unlimited. So let's get ahead of it. So after that, let's look at quotes. Now quotes, if you have ever seen quotes on books or relationship quotes or success quotes, this is where you click on it and you have quotes here, so many of them, and this is just under motivation. Now after motivation, you can go to success quote, you can go to friendship quotes, you can go to happiness quotes. It just depends on where you want to end up. So just depending on you, you can do whatever you want. Now this button, these three dotted lines here are very important because once you click on it, you have use image from camera. So if you want to use an image, it tells you, if you click on the first one, you're going to take an image from camera. Here you export an image to whatever you want to. There's image size, where if you click on the image size here, you're going to change the size of this canvas. For example, if I click on image size, and this is 280 by 280 right now, I can go ahead and change, let's say no, I want to change the width, not the height. This is the width, and if I change the width to maybe 500 and maybe 500, 1500, and I click on OK, you see the canvas has increased. So the size of this canvas has increased again, and that is how you increase the size of the canvas if you want to work more with the canvas. And so when you click on the layers tab, you're going to see this green button down here. It helps you to move this layer tab so that if you want to use it, you can go ahead and move this layer tab while still using the canvas and still seeing everything. So let's go ahead and remove that. So that is it. We are done with this upper section. Like I said, this section is called the canvas, and now we are here on this section. This is your dashboard. Now you can see we have three circles down here which has intersections like normal sets in school. Now if you click on this button right there, and then you click on any of the images shown here, you're going to cancel everything you've done so far. For example, if I click on this button, it's going to ask me that do I want to open the project. Any progress will be lost. So if I click on OK, everything I did that time has been lost and I cannot do anything again. And remember, if I want to add my date, I can click on this plus and click on current date. Remember, this button here just stretches it and this one scales it. And so remember the scale and the stretch. And so what you want to work with are these other buttons, these A buttons, this one, and this background button. Now this A button and this button works for the same purposes. The A button works when you're dealing with text, and this button that looks like a diamond shape do work when you're dealing with shapes. So text and shapes differently. If I click on the A button, you can see that I have styles, edit, delete. If I click on delete, it's going to delete what is on the screen, what is highlighted on the screen, which is the date. If I want to click on delete, I click that, it takes the date away. And if I didn't want to click delete the date, I can go back to the back button up there and click on back. And if I want to delete this new text, I'll click on it. It must be highlighted first before now you can click on the delete. So let's click on back and bring it back. And then you can click on edit, and maybe I wanted to write Pixellab. So let's go ahead. I wanted to write Pixellab, and now I have it, and now I can scale it to make it bigger. And so that is it. Now maybe I wanted to copy this Pixellab. For now, Pixellab looks like it is the one behind. So Pixellab is actually behind, and I can bring it in front. If you look at the layers, you see that the first one is a date and the second is a Pixellab. And when you click, when you're highlighting something, there's always this blue line that shows under it, showing that it is what is highlighted on the canvas. And if I click on the date, the blue line goes to the date, and you can see that the blue line is now there. And so it always shows what you're working with, and you want to know how that works, because that when you work with so many things on your canvas, you will need to come to this and know exactly what you're working with, especially when you've copied something. And let's close that out. And maybe I want to copy this Pixellab. Just click on copy and it copies. So that's the work of the copy button. To front means to send this, what I've copied, what is highlighted, to the front part. To back means to send it to back. And if I click here, you see this one is now in front. And if I click to front, it's in front. And if I touch now Pixellab and I say to front, and it is now in front. So this to front and to back is just to help you. And then now positioning is to move. If I want to move something without actually changing, because I move, it changes the where it was standing. Let's say I wanted these are grid lines, I bring my grid lines, and if I wanted to move it, you can see it's moving away from the grid lines because my hands are not that stable. But if I wanted to move it, I can bring my grid lines and use this instead. Now when I come to this dashboard this way and I click on down, I can increase this to 40 pixels, and when I click this, is moving on the same axis, so it's not changing, it's just moving downward. And if I want to go upward, it moves straight upward, and this saves me a lot of time because I'll have to maybe I want to put it straight. And so if it's moving to like if I just wanted to move it just slightly below, I can reduce this, and then I click on down. You see it's moving slightly now, and if I want to move it just a little bit upward, I can reduce this to 1 pixel and then go ahead and click on upward. It's moving, and then maybe that's where I am, or maybe I want to come down again, and maybe that's where I want to end. And so you can see it's powerful, and that is how the position works. Relative positioning is just to be able to put this, like if I click on the first one, it carries it to the corner. If I click on the one downward, it goes with it upward. And if I click on this side, it brings it to the end downward. And these two in the middle, just put it in the center. If I click here, it's centered downward, and if I click there, it's centered in the middle. And that is how it is. And if I carry it upward, let's say I carry it upward, and if I click here, it centers upward, and I click, it centers in the middle. So that is always it, always trying to put it in the middle. Now this is it. So we're done with that button. We come down to size. As it says, it just increases the size or reduces the size as we pull this. And of course you can do this by just using the scale button, and as you do it, you can see that the size is increasing by itself. And so you don't want to come to the size unless you don't really want to use the scale button here. So that is it. And let's go to pattern. Pattern is something you're not going to use all the time, but it just changes the length and the width of the ends of what you're writing, which is powerful. We don't have colors, is where you change the color of the text. And if I come to color, I can click on maybe green, and everything changes to green. Or maybe if you come down to gradient is where you can mix two colors together. And if I click there, and if I click on the plus icon, this plus icon here, it comes here, and I can change the colors. I can choose the color I want to change, and I can go ahead and change it. So you can see this color button here just to change the colors, and you can go ahead and change it. And I can change the second color here by clicking here and then clicking the color button. I can go ahead and maybe change and put this color here, and you can see now that we have two colors, the green and the blue, and I can go ahead and maybe scale that out or give it some sharp edge, and it all depends on what you want to work with. So maybe I want to work with my colors to be half green and maybe halfway that. I can go ahead and click on OK, and you can see Pixellab has changed. And if I go ahead and arrange that pattern the way it was supposed to be, and you can see I have a beautiful thing there looking great. And that is how you just work around with this. And so texture is when you want to put in a texture. I can go ahead and take a text, maybe an image, and make my text look like that image. For example, I have mobile PS mobile here that I created last time, and I'm going to click on this. And if you see, my pixel app has changed, and if I do scaling, it's going to scale. It's still pixel app, but it's taking now the image. And if I, let's say, enable the maintain ratio, and then it just looks like the image. It is taking, it's now coloring itself with the image, like it's just like using the image to paint itself. That's what it's doing. And so that's what all this does. So you can delete that if you want, but I don't like it, so I will click on this delete button and delete it. And so I like this color, so I'm going to allow it. Like, remember, we brought this color using the gradient, so you can use gradient when coloring. Go to color, and instead of color you can choose gradient, and gradient is very nice. And so each time you choose, you make a new color, it remains here, so you can choose, you can use it each and every time. Like, I can do this other pixel up here, and if I go to color and go to go down to gradient, I can see this other gradient here, and if I click on this, it gives me the same. So that is a very powerful way to work with Pixellab. It saves these things so that you don't go finding it again and again. And so from there we move down to, we have past texture, so we go to opacity. Opacity is just to show how much of this thing should appear. Maybe I want just to see pixel up a little bit, and it happens when maybe you want to put something behind the scene just to show, like maybe a stamp. You can do that by reducing it, and you can see the pixel up is slowly disappearing, and the pixel up is showing, but it's really not showing that clearly. And maybe you want it just this way, and so you can put another pixel up on top of it, and I will not even notice. Or you can use it as a shadow, so it looks like there's a shadow behind, but you don't need this because I'm going to show you how to make shadows anyways. So that is the work of opacity, just to reduce how it shows. So there we go down to the rotate function, which helps us to rotate. Remember, I told you that this button here, this button actually helps us to do rotation as well. So you can only go in there if you don't want to use the button on the screen, which I think it's a lot of work. So let's deactivate our grids. Okay, and go ahead. This is the mask button. Now this mask is very powerful. For example, I want to remove the mask. Let's do it on this, the max button. Now if I click on enable here, you can see it has removed everything that is within that line, and this is what the max does. It masks it out, and it looks like it did not exist. And if I do not, it is on in, and if I just click on out, it instantly marks everything that is outside and allow everything which is inside. And so you can go ahead and play with this. Like, maybe you can go ahead and change this and raise it up, and maybe change some shapes, and it all depends on what you want to do. You're going to learn more of this as we go through the course. And so you can go back to in, and you have Pixellab, and if you click on OK, you have something like, it was a circle that cut through the P, the last P, and the B. So it looks cool, and if it does not look good to you, you can just click the back button and you come back. And so we can go to fonts. Fonts is where you change the way the writings look. I've got so many fonts in my phone, you can always change. So the Pixel app has now changed to something amazing. Fonts are very powerful ways. You can write something, and just by changing the font, it already looks so professional. So like what you're seeing right now, I did not design it in my hand, I just changed the font, and it is amazing. So we can go down to the next style, which is you can bold something and make it really look big, like what is looking right now, or you can underline it like there, or you might not even want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, you can click on the X button, and it will remove everything you did. And so curve is where you can bend things. If you have looked on the stamp before, there are writings which are bent, and you can just roll this, and you can see it is bent. There's no button for the curve on the canvas, so you just need to always come to this button, and if you want to bend something, you go ahead and bend it like that. And you can go ahead and reduce the size. Of it. Let's say it's bent, and I want to reduce the size, so maybe maybe I want to reduce the size of this, And you can go ahead to the scale now and then scale it. So I've shown you Ben. We can look for the background, and if you put the background there, it's going to cover everything, or not, or maybe not. And let's go back to the bend and remove whatever we did there. So I want to go to the bend, and I want to maybe yes there, and I want to click on OK, and maybe we'll go back to the background now, and it's just going to hold only that. And so you see that we can change the background, give it a green color, or maybe give it any color we want, or you can still give it a gradient color, but the white looks really good for me. Let's give it a gradient color. It disappears. Oh my, I love the white, so the white really looks cool. So maybe you don't want background color, you don't put it. The next thing is align. Align is just a way to arrange your text. You're going to click align to arrange your text, whether in a block format or in paragraphs or whatever. You just use align. So we're going to do this in the course itself. So let's get to it. So if you're dropping in right now and you're watching this video, we're on YouTube right now. Just make sure to subscribe to the button, hit on the bell notification, so that each time I post a new video in on web design or whatever design we are doing with Pixellab, just make sure you subscribe and click on the bell notification so YouTube can always send you a notification. Anyways, let's keep going. So line spacing, this is where you space letters. Like if I click on spacing, it is on letters, and if I now increase this, it's going to space out my Pixellab. And this is always very good. If you've ever seen some writings and they're so spaced out, it's because of this, and it presents it very nice. And you always have to try this out. And you can also trace this in. If there were two words, you can see it will just separate the words, but now this one does not work because we have Pixellab as one word. And so that is it. And we can go ahead to the next one, which says align spacing. This one also space things, but space in the horizontal and vertical. So we are going to see that more. So we have what we call stroke. Stroke is something you want to play with. First of all, I want us to remove the background. So let's remove the background and click on. So let's come back to stroke, and when the time you enable stroke, oh my god, you look at how it looks without stroke and with stroke, without stroke, with stroke. So stroke is a powerful way of doing things. It's so powerful. You can now give a color to the stroke and it looks amazing. So there we've got stroke, and without, this is it, without stroke, with stroke. So that is the difference. So stroke is an amazing tool. We are going to be using it. Shadows. Now shadows is also great. Look at this, without shadows, with shadows. Now shadows give the depth. You feel like what you're doing is coming to life, and it's with shadows. And you can blur the shadow, you can make it just a little bit tiny, you can blur it, and then you can go ahead to enable glow, which, look at, without glow, with glow. So it's just this is the outer glow, and you can go ahead and move that out in the shadows. And that is what we have. Finally, our Pixellab is coming to life. And inner shadows, you can go ahead and put some inner shadows there, and it doesn't really show difference, but it is there. So we have emboss. Emboss is also a nice way to put light into your scene. Like I'll increase the intensity of the light, and then I'm going to move this light to an angle, and you can see how light changes. Just look around, you're going to see light, how light is changing across there, across the words, the lighthouse, and you can see how the change is affected. It's so great. This small movement does not really seems really important, but if you move it really well, your design is just going to look exceptional. So next thing, let's go down to perspective. Perspective is the view. If I wanted to bend this thing to look more like, let's see, this thing was lying, I'm going to do it like that. And if I enable perspective and I click on OK, it's like Pixellab was now lying on the floor, which is a great way to put text on the floor. If you've ever seen something like text was written on the floor or on the wall, it is used, it is the perspective that is used. You have to really rotate, where you can rotate it in the x-axis and in the y-axis. You might probably have seen this already in films, and this is amazing. Okay, so now let's go to 3D text, where you can make it thicker. Okay, so Pixellab is now 3D, and if we try to rotate this, let's try and rotate that. You see, it is like it was made up of wood, and this is amazing, amazing. And this is what Pixellab can do. Pixellab can do much more. And let's just get it done with shadows. You see, we have more of the shadows, opacity, like it was sitting on something. And then last we got reflection, and if we add on reflection, you can see that we actually have the Pixellab reflected downward like we were in water, which is very nice. And so this is it, and we have not touched this part, but if we touch this one, it is for shapes. Now if I want to add a shape, I can go ahead and add a shape, and this is my shape here, and I can go ahead and copy, click on copy, and it copies the shape, just like what we do with text with delete. You can go ahead and bring a Bezier. I'm going to show you how to use Bezier on the next videos, and you can go ahead and bring that out. Just click on it, and you have so many things: the text color, the size, the texture, opacity, just like we did the erasers, the stroke, there's mask, and so on and so forth. Almost everything we've just touched is there. So this tab is just like the other tab, just that it deals only with shapes. Now the last tab, which is for background, this is where you change your background color. You can make it transparent, or you can change the color to maybe black, like that. Oh sorry, that's not black. Anyways, you can change the colors, or you can give your color a gradient like that as well, and so it doesn't look any bad. Well, it actually feels like if I go ahead and delete this shape, now I'm going to have a very nice thing. Well, maybe let me just hide the shape. Remember, to hide the shape, you just need to come to where the shape is found. You can click lock to not to move it. Like that lock, now I cannot move the shape anymore. And if I click on this eye icon here, it becomes red, it disappears. And now look at it, looks amazing. Looks like I just created something good now from nothing. And this is the power of Pixellab. It's so powerful, you can't even imagine. And now let me also maybe go ahead and hide this out. And this is so good, I can actually save this. This is nice, and this is what I've worked with for, I cannot explain this anymore even. So that's background, and you can go ahead and your background may be an image. You can take an image from your gallery, or you can you click on images. There are images here, you can use images here, simple images that you can use. Actually, they're very nice. You can actually use them. You can actually use these images here, depending on what you want to do, actually, just for you. Or maybe you may want to take an image from your gallery, so you can go ahead and take an image from your gallery. So let's just find a way to take an image from my gallery. Let's say that is the image, and I accept, and the image becomes the background. Now you can see I can no longer work with that image. It's the background. I cannot do anything to the image. It's background. But I can add an image in such a way that I can change the shape of the image, and that we're going to cover in the next video. So this is the full guide, and I hope you learn one or two things. So bye bye.